Good evening and welcome in. We are on to what is this, episode 5? Episode 5 already, the right wing. We're moving along. I'm enjoying it. I think it's going well. I hope you guys are enjoying it. And we do have some news today. We had some breaking news the last couple of days, some cool things to get into. And we're going to hammer on some of the breaking news coming out of the Middle East. We're going to hammer on some news about economics. So I'm pretty fired up for this episode. I think this is going to be our longest one yet. We might have to break it into multiple segments. We will see. But I'm fired up for it. I hope y'all are. I hope y'all are ready for a good episode. And we're going to dive in. I mean, probably the number one breaking news that we can talk about is the fact that there was a massive earthquake outside of Russia. And as of right now, there isn't a death count, which is good. I mean, there is an injured couple people. But the greater threat is the risk of tsunami coming in towards the United States, towards the western United States. I think they issued a warning for Hawaii, but they watch for Alaska, maybe? I think that sounds right. I know Hawaii is definitely in a tough spot right now. I mean, that's going to be the major hit point. So we'll be praying for them, praying for safety, praying that there is not a death count. Hopefully it does not even form into a tsunami, because that'll cause a lot of issues in that area. I mean, I've been to Hawaii multiple times. It's small. I can imagine what one massive wave would come. It would destroy a lot. There's a lot of small huts and things. So definitely be praying about that. And as far as other news goes, I'd say probably the biggest storyline of the week goes to the fact that we see some people ready to recognize Palestine as a state. And it's two big-time players in the game. It is France and the UK. And it's not official yet, but they have announced intent to recognize Palestine as their own nation, as their own state, if things don't change in the next month. The meeting is in September, I believe, the United Nations meeting, where they will officially move to recognize them as a state. And assuming that this continues on, that will be 4 out of the 5 nations in the Security Council that will want to recognize Palestine as a state. Now, what does this mean for the United States? What does this mean for Palestine? What does this mean for the rest of the world? What is the United Nations? There's a lot of questions to ask there. First off, let's start off with what is the United Nations? It's a major grouping of nations. Pretty much every nation in the world is in this. Now, this is to try to avoid conflicts. It's to try to work things out peacefully. And it's to add security so that if one nation does start acting out, other nations are there to support, to help settle that down. So what is the Security Council? Well, there are 5 nations that are always kind of in control. They're spread out. It's 5 of your major superpowers. It's the United States, it's UK, France, China, Russia. That's 5. They kind of spread them out across the whole world. You kind of get the eastern and western portions of the world covered here. And they're your major players. I mean, they are the big name people in this coalition of nations. And they are the ones with veto power. They're the ones who are like the acting entities that are going to move first, right? Us 5 are the big time players. So that means 4 out of 5 of the nations, 4 out of 5, want to recognize Palestine as its own nation, as its own state, separate from Israel. China and Russia have already expressed intent. Now you have UK and France. The United States is the only one who has not expressed that intent yet. And this is a major deal. I mean, we have to consider the implications of this. The United States is sitting out. They're the only ones with veto power. If they hop on board with this, Palestine will pretty much so officially become a state. Now, what does that mean as far as Israel goes? I think if you've watched my podcast, if you know who I am, if you watch me on Instagram, if you watch me on TikTok, whatever it may be, you know that I am anti-Israel. I'm not going to say I'm pro-Palestine. I'm not. I'm really anti both of them. But if Palestine is a state, the atrocities that Israel is committing, the crimes against humanity that Israel is committing, then become our duty to protect. That is the important part of this. And once it becomes a nation, well, now you have Israel crossing nation lines. Once they become a nation, you now have Israel starving another nation out, attacking another nation, Right now, it's technically happening within their own nation. Now, as far as by morals go, I think it's kind of dumb that we may be more apt to act then than now. I will say that. I think that we should all be willing to act right now because it is a crime against innocent men and women and children. But if this is what it takes, this is what it takes to get help to Gaza, to get help to Palestine. Like I said, I am by no means pro-Palestine. I'm by no means pro-Israel. I'm pretty much against them both. But I see what's happening in Palestine to innocent people. We're not talking about terrorists. We're not talking about Hamas. These shootings are happening. It's not... this is part of what you have to understand with this is... This is not just some random act, okay? This is genocide over there. I mean, you have innocent people without homes now because Israel's blown them up, begging for food. Israel's starving them through blockades, releasing very little food to aid stations. And when these innocent people go to that aid station, they get shot while they're trying to get their food by Israeli soldiers. They're like literally using them as target practice is the words that I've heard used to describe it. If that's not war crime, if that's not crime against humanity, I don't know what is. I don't know how we can classify something as anything different. They're shooting them while they're trying to get food to survive because they're at stage 4 starvation, some at stage 5 already. Forced starvation, not just like, oh, it's a famine. No, it's like forced starvation from Israel. All aid is being blocked from getting into that area. I've spoken on these things going on quite often. The war crimes that are going on, the bombings. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, last week, I forgot which one it was, Israel bombs a church housing refugees, doing nothing. Hamas was not in this church because I don't support Hamas. I think that's important to state. I think they are also a terroristic group. But Israel bombs an innocent refugee church and kills people and then claims it was an accident. I've spoken on this multiple times because it's appalling. It is appalling that we're allowing this to happen. We're sitting back and we're seeing it and it's just like, whatever. So the idea of this big news coming from the United Nations, coming from the UK yesterday, is that hopefully this will cause a Palestine state to be introduced, its own nation, in which the Security Council will come in and will act as security whenever these things are happening. We may have people stationed there, truthfully. It would not surprise me to see that in the near future if Palestine becomes a nation. But the big if here is the United States. We have veto power. Each nation, it has to be a unanimous decision within that Security Council. And right now, it's 4 out of 5. We're darn close, but guess who's just not there? The United States. And do we want to take a wild gander as to why that is? You can connect this to a lot of things, but right now, there's too much money coming from Israel in our politicians and our government in general's pocket for them to want to do that. This is what we run into when we run into money coming from the outside into politicians' pockets because it's corrupt. That's all it is. That's the only way of describing it. It is corruption. Corruption from within. And Israel is lining our politicians' pockets. That's why so many people are pushing so hard. Pro-Israel, pro-Israel, pro-Israel. God's chosen people, pro-Israel. AIPAC, I've spoken on it before. I think you probably know what AIPAC is by now. AIPAC has funded, I think it was a ridiculous amount. It's something like 500 members of our Congress or more that has accepted donations from AIPAC. Right? We just saw last week, we saw a bill that gets pushed. Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I'm a major supporter of, she's actually from my district. She proposes this bill, and if I'm not mistaken, it was to cut spending of $500 million to Israel. We already send them $4 billion a year minimum, but this was to cut $500 million of that out, or at least not send more, which I'm little shady on what was going on there. But she proposes it, and only 6 people say no. 455 say yes to that bill. That our taxpayer dollars, mine and yours, you're watching this, it's your taxpayer dollar, assuming that you're in the United States and paying taxes, is going to Israel to bomb innocent children, to kill innocent people, to station soldiers, to arm blockades so these people starve. Just sit back and think about that for a second. Sit back and think about the fact that your dollar is going towards that. Your representative, your senator, more than likely is supporting that. This isn't red versus blue. This is across party lines. This is red and blue. Right? I think it was 4 Democrats and 2 Republicans, Marjorie Taylor Greene being one of the Republicans, voted against that spending bill. We are living in some of the craziest times, and I posted on my Instagram earlier today. I got a lot of great feedback, by the way. This is on my Instagram and my TikTok, but I 100% feel like it's time to start impeaching, overthrowing. Because these members of Congress are not acting as America first. They are not acting with America's best interest in mind. They're acting with Israel's best interest in mind, their own best interest in mind, what makes them rich, what makes Israel happy, right? And half the issue with this, half the issue is the fact that most of them have probably been filmed with little kids by Epstein, right? This is all intertwined. This is this whole big old basket of just garbage is what this is. And that's the United States political system. That is our political system, garbage. So now we hope that the United States makes a motion to go along with the other 4 out of 5 and make Palestine a state. Do I think it happens? I'm not thinking it, to be honest. My prediction is no. Unless they're pressured. And that's what the whole point of the UK doing this was, and France for that matter. They're putting pressure on the United States because they know there's only 2 major countries in the entire world who support this war, and it's Israel and the United States for some unknown reason, right? Other than the fact that our government is so corrupt. Israel has their reasons. Their reason is they want to take over the entire region. They want greater Israel to happen. That's Israel's reason. Israel wants a bunch of people who aren't even native to the area. They're native to Eastern Europe to come in, say they're Jews, take over the entire area, and become a superpower. That's not a mystery. If you can't look at the facts and look at news and decide that for yourself, I'm going to be honest, you're not the most intellectual person. These are facts. Greater Israel is what they want. So what happens? I mean, right now, if nothing changes and all 4 of these nations are pushing for Palestine to be a state and the United States doesn't, we look like a band of freaking idiots. I mean, we look like fools. We are going to be hated. And I think it might affect us financially. I think it might affect our economics, like we're going to get into later. I don't know what's going to happen with it, but I mean, could trade be cut out because of this? Could places start saying, well, we're not going to do business with the United States if you don't support Palestine? I think we could see an economic war coming. And if that becomes the case, I think Trump pushes for us to recognize Palestine. It'll be interesting because it's going to be conflict of interest for Trump at this point. Trump has 2 ways he has to look for. One, he's taking a lot of money from Israel. That's the truth. He's best buddies with the war criminal Netanyahu. Y'all know I'm not a big fan of Trump right now. We're going to get into Trump more later, but I don't see him saying no to Netanyahu and going the other way. But Trump's biggest argument for himself is his economy. That's what he's always pushed. He's a businessman. The economy will be better. If the economic good of the United States becomes the number one conflict with Israel on what Trump has to decide, that's where I think we see a battle at. Because then Trump has to decide, if people decide to stop trading with the United States and not send us goods, not take goods, if Trump does not recognize Palestine, if the United States does not recognize Palestine as a nation, Trump has to decide between Netanyahu and economics, the economy. And that'll be an interesting decision. I'm not even going to make a prediction about what happens at that point. There's a lot of what-ifs before we get there, obviously. There's a lot of what-ifs. But I think that we have to really consider that in the future. That's my prediction for what's going to happen. I hope it happens. I really do, because right now, I mean, this is a good transition to do it. Economics right now, we're doing well. And people are going to say, oh, the tariffs are terrible. They're terrible for the economy. They're really not. I mean, Axios posted an article just 2 days ago, I think. It says that we have gained $20 billion, with a B, $20 billion each of the last 2 months. We're on pace for a 12-month section to be a $240 billion surplus in trade. That's unheard of for the United States. I mean, unheard of in the last 100 years. This is a big deal. That's really, really, really good. $240 billion in tariff revenue. Now, whenever you see that number, the question then becomes, who is going to eat that tariff revenue? Who eats the tariff revenue? Because somebody's taking the loss there. Is it the consumer, us? Is it the businesses? Is it the overseas people? What are we seeing? Who is actually going to eat that cost? So far, in car sales specifically, and this is an interesting thing because car sales, I think, make up the largest portion of the tariff revenue, which is 14%. The largest single industry portion is car sales. So a little over 14% goes towards cars. We have not seen a major price increase yet. That's not to say by the time the New Year comes around that they won't increase prices. We typically see price increases each January, December, that time of year. New Year comes in, people see their numbers, they increase price a little bit, whatever. That's not to say it's not going to happen in that time period. But in the current time period, we have not seen price increases on car sales. They're pretty steady because demand's low. Here's the backside of everything. The economy, as far as the individual's wallet, doesn't seem to be doing great. I think it's been that way for about 5 years, though. So people aren't buying new cars as often. So demand is low. The car industry is eating the cost right now. They're saying, you know what? We're just trying to sell cars. We're just trying to sell vehicles. So we haven't seen that. Now, will the spike come? I think companies get greedy. I do. We're a consumer-driven country. Consumer-driven country. I mean, we buy more stuff than anybody. Go out to Hobby Lobby and see how many women are shopping for just stuff, right? Go out to Home Depot and see how many men are just shopping for stuff. We're a consumer-driven society, and whether we like it or not, these companies know that, and they know that we're going to buy stuff regardless. We see that all the time. People are poor with their spending, and they just go buy crap that they don't need, no matter what the price is. They want it, they buy it. That's America. Most of the world doesn't operate that way. Most of people in history don't operate that way, but that's America. It's consumer-driven. I personally think companies see that, they're going to up the prices. Will we see it in car sales because it's such a large price tag? That's where it gets interesting. I think on the little items we see it, though. On the little items, eggs. That's not really getting tariff, but, little things that we're going to buy. Stainless steel cups, iPads, microphones, all this stuff. I think we're going to see, 10% added on. We don't really think about it. We don't really see it. You add 10% onto a car, you're like, whoa, that's $5,000 more expensive. And I think we're going to see it with the small things where companies get greedy and they start taking that money back. They're not going to eat that cost forever because these corporate guys, these big companies, I don't like them. I spoke on that the other day. I'm a small business guy. These big guys are going to make their money. They need their $5 million bonus come Christmas time. So they got to figure out how to make that money. I think it's going to get added on December, January time, at least in little small increments. That's my prediction as far as that goes. So then the next question becomes, how is the job market looking? I pulled some statistics. This is from the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. And so far, since Trump entered office in January, we are averaging 130,000 new jobs per month. We have never dipped below 100,000 since he entered office. Now, I'm comparing this with the 5 months before Trump gets elected. And this is what I'm saying is I did not count November and December in these statistics. Why? I saw this in the personal market here. Once Trump won the election, businesses got a lot more comfortable with things. I don't count that little oddball period of 2 months right there. I'm counting January to June, and I'm counting October backwards, 5 months, whatever that comes up to. Biden averaged 106,000 new jobs before the election. but he had a random 240,000 job outlier, which I think came in September. So without that outlier, he was averaging 72,500 compared to Trump's 130,000. Even if you compare the other with the outlier in, it was 106,000 to 130,000. Trump's winning in the new job thing. So it's hard to compare numbers from before that for Biden. I mean, the 3 years before we're recovering from COVID and losing a gazillion jobs. I think growth got really, you can't compare growth in that period. It's just a variable. It's an outlier. Those 3 years are tough, but we start looking at the end when things started to kind of get back to what we can call normal as this post-COVID section of time. His numbers were not great economically. There was a great recovery, which we expect to happen. It's cyclical. New job numbers were not great. Now, if you look at unemployment, I mean, it's virtually the same. Unemployment in the past year has been 4.1%, plus or minus 0.1%. It's been literally, I looked at it, it was 4.1, 4.2, or 4.0 every month the past year. So it's not really a big thing there. Honestly, I ran against the people who are unemployed and stay unemployed. I think those people are going to be unemployed whether there's new jobs or not. I mean, that 4.1% is just people that don't want to work. I mean, if we're just being honest, it's people that don't want to work. Once you get down to a number that low, it's not people that are forcibly unemployed, right? We see that at 5, 6, 7% or higher. At 4% and below, 4.2%, you're seeing people who just don't want to work. That's my personal take on it. Or just basic job turnover, stuck in between, a job, whatever. That's not a big deal to me. And I mean, it's been steady, so we're not seeing anything crazy there. But yeah, I mean, what happens with the economy? Kind of going back to my point earlier. Come the new year, whenever we potentially see in the coming months a decision on Trump's end. This is a big decision. Is he going to side with Netanyahu or is he going to side with the economy? If this decision comes, I hope he chooses America. I mean, I hope he chooses America outside of that decision. He should. He loves Netanyahu and nobody can figure out why. I mean, other than he's probably in the Epstein files. I don't think he slept with a kid. I'm just going to be honest. But he's in those files. He's tied to Israel. He's taking money from AIPAC, Israel, whoever. And so we have to consider that in all this. That's why a lot of the things are happening that are happening. But as far as everything goes, I mean, I think that's going to wrap up today's news, wrap up what we got going on. Yeah, I mean, definitely ending this. Pray for Israel, guys. Pray for Israel. This is a rough situation over there. Pray for that whole area. When I say Israel, I mean the whole area. Pray that the people in charge in Israel come to their senses, come to find God. Pray for Palestine and their safety. This is unprecedented times. To me, this is one of the worst genocides in history that we're watching. It's innocent people being killed. I think that's something we can all agree is not good. If there's anybody who thinks that this is okay, I would love to have a sit-down conversation with you. I really would, because I was pro-Israel a year ago because I was blinded to what was really happening. It wasn't presented to me in a way that I saw what was happening. And I did research myself. I went through lots of different places, and I see what's happening. I see that Israel is not who they say they are. They are not God's chosen people, religiously as Jews. And they don't act in accordance with anybody else's plans. They act in only for their good, which tends to be for the worse for everybody else. Now, I say this, I'm also a believer that America should act as an American first nation. America first. Do what we need to be done here. But as the major superpower in the world, I think we also have to understand that we do have a responsibility for when innocent lives are being taken. Innocent, not criminal, not necessarily wartime. I'm talking about innocent lives. We have a responsibility to step in. I don't necessarily think we should get involved in every single war in the world. I think that that's a waste of our own money and resources and troops. But when it comes to innocent people, we should get involved. And I think most people would want to. So let's hope the United States recognizes Palestine. I think that's going to be a big step towards the good and forcing the state of Israel to back off. Otherwise, we're coming in. If that happens, it's going to be interesting. I'm just being honest. This is going to be in textbooks type stuff. I mean, we're talking about a possible war breaking out if it happens. I think it'll be a short-lived war. I think Israel will be a fool to go to war. with us specifically. But do we ever get to that point? Do we ever actually denounce Israel? I don't know, but that's going to be it for today, guys. I'm super excited, super happy y'all joined me. As always, share, like, follow, tell your friends about this. Follow on Instagram, follow on TikTok. I'm really trying to push this content out and just give y'all the news, give y'all what's happening, and let y'all know my opinion on it. So hope y'all have a great night.